Cellcast is recorded in front of a live streaming audience.
Hello and welcome to another episode of The Cellcast. Joining me today is a man who, well, he comes when his master calls, even when his master is about a 2-inch tall mouse wearing a Sherlock Holmes getup.
Hey.
Welcome, Jacob.
Well, I am a good boy.
I'm not answering that.
Ay, Chihuahua. You're welcome, Roy.
Ay, 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 ay.
Why, thank you. Let me use our co-host, a man who, just don't call him the R word and we're fine.
What did you call me?
I said R. Don't be so offensive, dude.
Wait, I just realized you weren't saying that about me. You were saying that about Francisco.
Oh. Maybe. That could be. It could stand for Roy or Rat.
Rat Roy. Anyway.
Rat Roy. There we go. Rat Roy social. Rat Roy.
Tonight, we are rewinding back to our first season once again to re-review The Great Mouse Detective. Mm-hmm. A classic from movie, if we're being honest.
Yeah, the movie's been considered a nostalgic classic. Be like Forgotten Gem. All these, it's worthy of that.
And it's a very historic film. It's literally, while it's technically in the Disney Dark Ages, technically, it probably could very easily be the start of the Disney Renaissance. The first rumblings that things were coming back.
Okay, yeah. Very similar to what they did Princess and the Frog and Princess Bride didn't do very well. But just like this movie did.
Right, but there's a lot of things that make you looking back at it now, go, exactly. Oh yeah, this is definitely the rumblings of
the start of something new.
A new brighter age for Disney.
Yeah, and
I wonder what the next bright the next starting to be good movie from Disney's gonna be.
That is true, because you never know. Because
we're kind of in a dark age again right now.
I would say more of a slump.
It's a slump. We've really only had 2 movies come out that were not liked.
Yeah, and plus how the culture is right now with they are so not everybody. I'm not including everybody in this. I'm only including people who are very negative towards everything.
Yeah,
it's to be like if the movie doesn't look the way, because I think it's the new Disney I think Disney Plus movie that's coming out with Ironheart. Be like, I saw the trailer.
It's a TV show, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. It's a TV show. I
thought
it was a movie.
It's a Marvel TV show.
Yeah, it's a Marvel TV show. And
Marvel
there's
has yet to
much vitriol for
Marvel
this.
has yet to put out a movie on Disney Plus that didn't go to theaters first.
That's true.
I'm assuming it's a TV show.
I think it's a TV show. I think so. Because I saw the trailer. I really don't know anything about it. But except that she's the new Ironheart who takes over kind of Stony York.
She did technically show up in Wakanda Forever.
Yeah, I didn't see that one yet.
And Ryan Coogler, who directed, of course, both Black Panther films, is directing this, which is maybe why you were thinking movie. And I could be wrong. It could be a movie, and I just don't know it.
Yeah,
but she did show up in that. Unfortunately, that was back when Marvel was cramming everything in a movie that didn't need to be there instead of telling a good story first.
Overstuffing everything.
Yeah, but I was referring to Disney animated films.
Oh, yeah. Exactly.
Because, we had recently both Strange Planet, which that was in theaters a month, and I don't remember any marketing campaign for it at all.
Yeah, there was a marketing campaign for it, but it's just...
I never saw it.
I never saw it either. It's on Disney Plus. You can buy it. I think I own it, actually, from Disney Movie Club.
And...
which I heard was a really good movie from, Heather.
Yeah. And then you have Wish... which was the 100th anniversary movie. 100th not the 100th movie, but it was supposed to be the 100-year movie celebration with callbacks to all other classic Disney films and blah, 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 blah. And people hate that too.
Yeah. Well, I think nowadays, because you have such, again, kind of going back to this very toxic culture.
And then before that was Encanto, I think.
Yeah, Encanto.
Which Encanto was liked.
Encanto was very good. Well, I think it's
just... I'm sorry, Moana 2, but I didn't see that either. Because,
yeah, Moana 2 was more recent, and that did very good.
It did well, it's just I didn't get to the theater in time.
But anyways, be like, yeah, so I think it's people are starting to slip away from that very toxic, we're going to judge the film just based on like a trailer or a screenshot or what someone said, and we're going to just crucify this movie even before it gets a chance to come out of the womb.
Yes, but in some cases I think it's justified.
Maybe in some ways. But I think,
but I know what you're getting at. I know what you're getting at, because let's face it, it is not fair to any movie to judge it before you watch it.
Exactly.
Granted, it sounds like I was right on the money about not wanting to watch the new Snow White film, but
what I keep hearing.
Yeah, I'm not in a big hurry to go watch it now.
Fair.
There's a reason we did not have a reaction to that film, because I don't think either one of us really wanted to see it.
No, not really. Yeah, thank you, Francisco. Yeah, Ironheart is a miniseries. Ironheart is a miniseries.
But yeah. On that note, since we kind of have gone tangent
just
on there,
just for a second, Nate says that was a mildly disturbing image, Jacob.
I don't know what he's referring to.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out what you're talking about there, Senor Marchin.
But anyway, why don't we jump into the spoiler-free section of our review?
Certified fresh and spoiler-free.
So, I don't know how many times I watched this film. I can tell you that within the last 5 years, I've watched it 3 times.
Okay.
But prior to that, I can't tell you how many times I watched this, because this was one of those films that was on a bootleg VHS that my grandpa recorded off Disney Channel that I wore out.
That is true.
So, yeah, I hate to tell you, this is a classic film for me. Right off the bat, I love this film. It's great fun. It's like it's like eating good ice cream. That's the best way I know how to put it. It goes down smooth. But yeah, definitely let your kids watch this. It's good for that.
In fact, I think when we going back to when we first reviewed this in September of 2019, we both kind of agreed in general that it does have very kind of a darker theme because it is the 80s and
it's a Sherlock Holmes
It's Sherlock Holmes story. And I think we both agreed because I listened to it before I came over here, and this movie it's a lot darker. It's got a lot more spooky scenes to it. So it was more back then.
Well, there's some shots of Fidget that will make you go bump in the night.
Make you jump. Even now, I'm 42 years old and be like, oh my gosh, that stupid little bat. But yeah, it's just be like the movie will make you jump if you're not expecting it.
Yeah. You didn't happen to get the...
I did.
Ratings.
Oh, I did.
We'll worry about that when we get to it.
Yeah, exactly.
I was we didn't discuss it. Great, we've done how many of these, and we don't have a set format that's different from our normal format.
Right. So I try to keep that in mind when we're doing rewinds.
It crossed my mind, like, ooh, what if we said that rating now, and then we'll see how it goes? But I thought, no, that's too much like Retro Rewind podcast.
Yeah, that's true. Even though we love retro, we're going to be on there soon.
Well, we actually are on a new release episode coming out soon that we recorded 3 years ago.
Oh, okay.
But we'll be recording with them pretty soon.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Another movie, but. What are your spoiler-free thoughts?
Spoiler-free thoughts. Again, like in the first review, I had not watched this film previously, and I watched it for our first viewing.
I'm still surprised that I introduced that film to you.
Yeah, you did in a way. Because the Disney 80s line of movies were movies that we never watched.
Right.
It was something about from the 1970s until 1989 there was that gap of movies we never watched.
Except for Oliver and Company.
Except for Oliver and Company. Because I remember watching Oliver and Company. Why should I worry? Yeah.
Why should I care?
Don't copyright. Don't copy strike. But it's like, so now I have a fondness for this film because it's so good. Mm-hmm. Because I was like, wow, where in the world was this my entire life? Now, granted, I could be having, like, when I was a kid, probably watched and forgot it. But I enjoy this movie, and rewatching it again from 5 years on.
Yeah.
5 years on from the last viewing. It is good. It is such a good classic hidden gem of a Disney film.
Yeah.
Because there's so many of the Disney in that dark ages of the 80s that are so good. And they just, like you said before, they completely got missed over, or it was just like the time. And like, I guarantee probably 10 years from now, there are going to be people like, it's like, well, like the more modern films are gonna be like, oh yeah, those are great films. Those are great films. It'd be like, just people just ignored them. But I don't know. Like, I might go back and watch Strange World, whatever it was called.
Strange Planet.
Strange Planet. I might go watch Strange Planet. Be like, you know what? It's not a bad film. Be like, yeah, some things I disagree with.
I'm not against us watching it at some point, of course.
Right.
And I will be even fair. We will not do it during Bad Movie Month.
No. Of course not. Because Disney films will be like, most of them,
when they're bad, they're at least competently made.
They're competently made. It's just more like sometimes the stories
just don't work.
Exactly. But I thoroughly enjoy. Like, this is be like, if I can't have nostalgia for it because I didn't watch it as a kid.
Right.
But it'd be like, it's an instant classic for me, using Retro's kind of numbering system. Mm-hmm. But oh my gosh, yes. Be like, this was a fantastic film. Go watch this. It's on Disney Plus. Mm-hmm. I know there's a Blu-ray out there. Be like, you may be able to track it down.
I think I have it, though I watched it on Disney Plus for this.
Because I remember you watched it on a disc.
Yeah.
But
I didn't go and unbury it.
Yeah, but oh my gosh. But yeah, just like this is a hidden gem within the Disney archives that I think people need to go more watch and enjoy.
Indeed.
And be like, the 80s were an interesting time in films when they were using more fantasy, like Black Cauldron, and other things like that. So yeah, I think we needed to go back and rediscover a lot of things that were in the 80s, especially Disney movies, that were kind of missed over or glanced over because it's like, oh, it's Disney. Be like, Disney's going nowhere kind of thing. But yeah, I thoroughly enjoy it. And if I ever get the chance, I might buy the Blu-ray version of it.
Alrighty. Well, why don't we go ahead and jump into our spoiler-filled section of our review then? The following is a spoiler-filled review for the film The Great Mouse Detective.
Squeak.
Listener discretion is advised. The Great Mouse Detective was written and directed by Ron Clements, who, of course, went on to direct The Little Mermaid.
And the other one. Ron Clements and...
I'm getting to it.
All right.
Bertie Mattinson, who directed Mickey's Christmas Carol. Mm-hmm. Dave Mitchner, who was the writer on Oliver and Company, but didn't direct anything else.
Yes.
And John Musker, who also directed Aladdin.
And also John Musker also directed The Little Mermaid.
And those two actually directed a lot of films.
They did. They also directed the first Moana. And the second one.
You know me. I only give them one credit, and I was trying to split it between the two.
Yeah, I agree.
But yeah, they did work together a lot.
A lot.
Also, it was written by Peter Young, Vance Gary, Steve Hullett, Bruce Morris, Matthew O'Callaghan, and Mel Shaw. It is based on Basil of Baker Street by Eve Titus and Paul Galdoni, which itself was inspired by the stories of Sherlock Holmes by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. Getting into the cast for this, we, of course, have Vincent Price as Professor Rattigan. And he is a classic horror movie actor.
Oh, yeah.
But the most well-known thing that IMDb says of that horror variety was he played Frederick Loren in House on Haunted Hill. Barry Ingham played Basil and Bartholomew, you know, the mouse that gets eaten near the very beginning. Ironically, the one that actually first calls Ratigan a rat.
Yes.
He in the movie A Challenge for Robin Hood, he played Robin Hood.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Val Betton was the voice of Dawson and a thug guard. And he was the Sultan in Aladdin.
Oh, okay. Oh, I can totally hear that now.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that you hear that. Now you know that. You can hear it.
Oh, yeah.
Suzanne Polishek played Olivia Flaversham.
Whatever.
She only has one other credit. It is through archival footage.
Really?
Of this film in Once Upon a Halloween.
Oh, okay.
Which I think was like a Disney Wonderful World of Disney special.
I think that was like the House of Mouse thing.
It may have been House of Mouse.
I'm
not 100% certain.
Yeah, because I remember something that they did archive.
They did a couple of those specials for House of Mouse.
They did.
And I've seen some clips from House of Mouse, because granted, what House of Mouse was an excuse to show Mickey Mouse cartoons.
Oh, yeah.
And all the other silly symphonies. But they had this a bookend to all the different cartoons of them showing this in not a bar, but like a showcase.
Yeah.
And all the characters from all the Disney movies show up to watch this, and it's actually pretty funny to watch the clips from the bookends of those things. Anyway, Candido played Fidget and a bar patron. And
did you say Candido?
Candido.
Candido.
You know, I'm reading that now. I'm fairly certain I mistyped that. Hang on, just 1 second.
Yeah, let him Google this and see.
I just want to make sure I am saying this guy's name correctly.
Yes.
Yeah, Candido.
That is an interesting name.
He played, like I said, he played Fidget and a bar patron, and in the movie Peter Pan, he played the Indian chief.
Oh, okay. The more now it's more as controversial.
Yes.
Scene. Which
except they removed that warning, I believe, from Disney Plus now with a bunch of other warnings that used to be on Disney Plus.
Oh yeah. Because it was highly offensive.
Yes. Diana Chesney plays Mrs. Judson, and she was a villager in Robin Hood Men in Tights.
Oh, a movie I have not watched yet. And some people are like, and Drew's glaring at me from the other side. It's like, are you mad you haven't watched this? It's like, no, I haven't.
On an upcoming episode of the Cellcast Plus, though not immediate.
No, I'm not surprised to be like, we're going to do this like 2 weeks from now. I don't care.
No, I already got what I want to do 2 weeks from now.
Okay, then.
Eve Brenner was the voice of the Mouse Queen. And in a movie called Murder in the Fur, she played Winthrop's secretary. Alan Young is the voice of Flaversham, and he uses this exact same voice a couple years later when he started voicing one Scrooge McDuck.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, both
in DuckTales and in many other appearances.
Yes.
Basil Rathbone appears as archive sound from Sherlock Holmes, because he is one of the original classic Sherlock Holmes actors.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
The actual, I'll get to that in a minute, but he also played Sir Guy of Gisborne in The Adventures of Robin Hood.
Oh, okay. Well, that makes sense to me. Like you're a classically trained actor, and you're going to do all these classic,
especially British.
Yeah, definitely British theater.
And Laurie Main played Watson.
Oh, okay.
And he was a wedding guest in Robin Hood Men in Tights.
Oh, okay. I'm seeing a theme here.
I may have decided to pick a lot of Robin Hood stuff since I kept seeing Robin Hood on things.
Yes.
Kingdom Hearts connections. How many do you think we got?
It's the 80s. So I'm thinking probably in the chat if you
I will give you this much. The Great Mouse Detective has not been made into a Kingdom Hearts world yet.
True.
Keyword yet. You never know.
Yeah, so in the chat, if you have a thought, be like from 1 to 10, like from how many you think.
I'll give you this much. It's from 1 to 10.
1 to 10.
It's not a 0 and it's not above 10.
Anybody wants to chime in, you're more than welcome to. Nate says 3.
What do you think?
I'm going to go with a very conservative, so more like 2.
Any other guesses before I reveal the answer?
Yes. Anybody in the chat? Anybody?
Going to let this go in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Nate Marchand is actually correct with 3.
Wow. Okay. Good job, Nate.
They are, once again, Alan Young, who played Flaversham in this, plays Scrooge McDuck in Kingdom Hearts 2. Tony Anselmo, who played a thug guard in this, is the voice of one Donald Duck, who will never heal me.
He's not bitter about this, you know.
I am not saying something
Duck.
I'm not saying something not every other Kingdom Hearts player has not said 100,000 million times.
Okay, got it.
Heal me, Donald. Also, Wayne Allwine also played a thug guard.
Right.
And he was a very not an important character at all in Kingdom Hearts. No, just King Mickey Mouse. Not Mickey Mouse, King Mickey Mouse.
King Mickey Mouse.
We don't. You got to be specific with Kingdom Hearts.
Yes.
But that's all we got. That's all our Kingdom Hearts connections. No Smash Brothers. None of that mess.
Wow.
What do we got in info and stuff?
All right. So info and stuff.
Was it Big Brain Nathan, or did you use collaboration chat like I did? Collaboration search, I mean.
Collaboration search. All right, so info and stuff. IMDb, it is a 7.1 out of 10. Rotten Tomatoes, it is almost neck and neck with the audience score and the reviewer score. The reviewer score is 878, and the audience score is 79. Still,
I'm surprised it's that low, to be honest, for the audience score.
I agree.
I can see critic score that being that low.
Yeah, but audience score.
I expected a little higher.
Yeah, because this is IMDb. Like, these are films that are people who are, either they're finding the film for the first time or this. Who knows?
Most of the critic score is going to be from that time period, or maybe true. Some that have come in later. But
yeah, true. All right, so it's available to watch on Disney Plus if you subscribe to Disney Plus. It was produced by Walt Disney Feature Animation and distributed by Buena Vista Distribution. Now, granted, this was the name they used from the 1970s until 1991. Later on, it would be changed to Buena Vista Home Entertainment, I think. I could be wrong.
Well, for the home release, yes.
Yeah, for the home release. Be like, that's right. Buena Vista Motion Picture something. Because
Disney changes their stuff all the time.
They do.
I'm looking it up real quick. Keep talking.
Yeah, you're good. Let's see. It is rated G, which I think that's kind of giving it maybe you could have given it a PG because it is a little bit spooky kind of a film. Because I think every Disney 80s film should have deserved a PG. Every one of them. Like, even Oliver and Company. Oliver and Company is a great film, but oh my gosh. Those movies go, what the frick were you doing? But it was like, wow. Talk was just A for effort.
Yeah.
But runtime was 74 minutes. Release date was June 2nd, 1986. That would have been 3 or 4.
So Buena Vista Pictures Distribution was apparently its name until 2007.
Ah, gotcha.
At which point it was the name was retired and changed to where was it? Walt Disney Studios Motion Pictures.
Okay, that makes sense. All right, so going into the box office, at an estimated budget of $14 million. Its U.S. opening was kind of sad. $3.2 million on July 6th, 1986. Its domestic was $38.6 million. So yeah, but it did okay. But again, this is the 80s. So you're not going to get these, multi-billion-dollar films. That wasn't a thing then. Be like the best movies would do is they would break maybe $100 million.
Yeah,
on a good day. So
and Disney was on a slump at the time.
they were
coming
in a
off of a
slump.
slump at the time.
Yeah, they were coming off a slump with because the previous film they just released was The Black Cauldron.
And Black Cauldron was intended to be courting new audiences, and it didn't.
It didn't do anything.
Because it was actually trying to go for the audiences that things like
the modern 80s teenager
Fire
would
and
go like.
Ice and the animated Hobbit film, and I'm trying to think of the other. Anyway, those kind of dark animated teenager films.
Oh yeah,
and
it
just didn't fit.
Didn't work.
Then they put this out, because I think this is very similar to the story of Shrek and Prince of Egypt, where one was considered to be the prestige film, and the other one was the one nobody wanted to work on.
Yeah, exactly. And he just wanted to be.
And this one, and just like that, just like Shrek, this was the one that did well, or did better, I should say.
So again, all the films we have just talked about, we have all reviewed all these films already.
Yes.
So if you want to go listen to our review way
Go
back
check
in the
all
day,
those.
in the way back machine, go find that. So on our
The Cellcast.podbean.com. It's all there.
or your
Or your
favorite
favorite podcast
director.
catcher.
Yeah, exactly. So it did fairly well domestically. It did. Let's see. It did about the same, because they don't apparently they didn't release records of the international release. But I'm fairly certain it probably did better. But you never know,
Yeah.
because again, it was the 80s. Let's be real. Because that kind of reminds me, guys, when we were kids, because I can talk to my parents and they can say the 50s and 60s were the best years when you're growing up. And
Whereas we look at the 80s and early 90s
as the best years.
the best years.
As the best years.
And yet you actually, that is the thing. We're tangenting again, but
you're wearing goggles.
it's called rose-colored glasses,
Rose-colored
folks.
glasses, because
there were a lot of stuff going on at that time we didn't know about or didn't concern us. That was
Exactly.
That was worse than what everyone had gone through before.
Oh yeah, but yeah, it's like you can be like if you were watched like your favorite film when you were a kid, and it's like the best film ever, and you watched it as an adult, and you might still have those rose tinted glasses, but you're gonna look at it as an adult and like, oh my gosh, what was I thinking?
Yeah,
this movie is not good.
Anyway.
Yeah. Anyways, so out of the away from this rant like we normally do. All right, so home release. Following the theatrical re-release in 1992, the film was released on VHS and Laserdisc in July 1992 as a part of the Walt Disney Collection series.
And at that time was called The Adventures of the Great Mouse Detective.
Yes.
Because they changed the name for some reason.
Yeah, they did. I think they were trying to remarket it.
I guess.
Because that's what they did with the Cauldron.
They did not return the actual name, The Great Mouse Detective, until like in that form until like the 2000s.
Yeah, something like that.
The Blu-ray release.
Yeah, because
it was the DVD release.
Yeah, because they did the exact same thing with the Black Cauldron. Or it's like they call it The Adventures of the Black Cauldron.
So technically, I watched The Adventures of the Great Mouse Detective when I was growing up.
Ah, okay.
If we're being honest.
Gotcha. All right, so it was placed into memorial, placed in the vault. It was placed in the vault on April 30th, 1993. It was released again on VHS in 1999 with a game sleeve inside it as part of a contest. Apparently there was a contest at the time. It doesn't give me information what that contest was. I'm interested to know. Let's see. A DVD was released for the first time in 2002 with a short making featurette. It was released in the UK for the first time on VHS in 1992, followed by 93 and 95. Let's see. A DVD was released in 2010. This edition was called The Mystery of the Mystery in the Myth. Mystery in the Mist. Mystery in the Myth. Mist edition of The Great Mouse Detective was released on DVD of that same year.
And that was the year they changed it back to The Great Mouse Detective.
That's what I understand. And on Blu-ray the first time on October 9th, 2012. unlike previous home media releases, which all use the 1992 reissue title print, The Adventures of the Great Mouse Detective, this DVD restored the original 1986 title card, which had previously had not been seen since its original 1986 release. The DVD also had the film in its 1.78.1 widescreen aspect ratio, which brings it closer to the original theatrical aspect ratio. The Blu-ray edition was region free and could be played in any region of the world. The Blu-ray was finally released in the UK on November 9th, 2015. It was released in French territories in Blu-ray on October 20th, 2015. Now, going into the yearly ranking, because this was put out in 1986.
Yes, I was not even a year old.
Yeah, he was a wee little.
I was a wee little lad.
Yeah, a wee little dodging. But so I'm curious with Drew and our audience, what ranking number do you think The Great Mouse Detective was in according to, where is it? BoxOfficeMojo.com. Where do you think this movie ranked?
Like out of all movies released that year?
All movies that year. What do you think it ranked?
30.
Okay. Let's see.
I'm just assuming that it was because Disney was in a slump right now and people may not have given this a thought at the time.
Okay.
And there's a lot of other movies that would have come out that year.
That's true. A lot of movies came out in 86.
Yeah.
So I'm just curious if our audience has any thoughts.
This is not the year, the one of those years where like all the big name movies come from, because I think that's 84.
Some of them
was that year. Bob was saying 21. Nate says 42. Surprised Bobo didn't claim 42 before, but that's just how that goes.
Right.
Although if you multiply Bobo's by 2, it would be 42.
True.
Anyways.
Any more takers in the audience? Going once, going twice? Sold. I think our Sir Mr. Dodgen here was closest. In the year ranking in 1986 in the theaters, it ranked 38.
So technically Marchand was closer.
Okay, Marchand was closer. Okay, congratulations, Nate.
You get nothing.
You get nothing, but our seam gratitude for getting close.
Indeed.
All right, so that is all I have for info and stuff.
All right, getting into the summary. In 1897 London, a young mouse named Olivia Flaversham celebrates her birthday with her single father toy maker, Mr. Flaversham. However, a bat with a crippled wing and a peg leg arrives unexpectedly and kidnaps Flaversham. Olivia leaves to find Basil of Baker Street, the famous great mouse detective, but gets lost. David Q. Dawson, a retired army surgeon mouse, newly returned from Afghanistan, meets Olivia and escorts her to Basil's residence. Being busy already, Basil initially dismisses them. Olivia then mentions the bat that abducted her father, and Basil realizes that Olivia saw Fidget, the assistant of Professor Rattigan, the criminal mastermind whom Basil was working to catch. It is then revealed that Rattigan kidnapped Flaversham to create a clockwork robot replica of the Queen of the Mice, so that Rattigan can usurp her place as supreme ruler of all mousedom. Flaversham initially refuses to participate in the scheme, but capitulates when Rattigan threatens to harm Olivia. Meanwhile, Fidget appears in Basil's window, then suddenly disappears. Basil, Dawson, and Olivia take Toby, Sherlock Holmes' pet basset hound, to trail Fidget's scent. They trace Fidget to a human-sized toy shop where, searching the area, Dawson finds Fidget's checklist, and Basil discovers Fidget has been stealing clockwork mechanisms and toy soldiers' uniforms. Fidget ambushes and kidnaps Olivia before Basil and Dawson can stop him. Basil does some chemical tests to the checklist, discovering it came from the Rat Trap, a tavern near the junction of the sewer and the Thames. Sorry, the River Thames. I said that wrong. Basil and Dawson disguise themselves as sailors and head to the tavern. They spot Fidget there and follow him to Rattigan's headquarters, only to be ambushed by Rattigan and his henchmen. Ratigan has the pair tied to a spring-loaded mousetrap connected to a Rube Goldberg machine of various killing devices. Ratigan then sets out for Buckingham Palace, where his henchmen hijack the Royal Guard's rolls and kidnap the Mouse Queen. Inspired by a remark Dawson made, Basil deduces the trap's weakness, freeing himself, Dawson, and Olivia. At Buckingham Palace, Ratigan forces Flaversham to operate the Toy Queen, while the real one is taken to be fed to Felicia, Ratigan's pet cat. The Toy Queen declares Ratigan the ruler of all Mousedom, and he announces his dictatorial plans for his new subjects. After Basil, Dawson, and Olivia save Flaversham and the real Queen, they restrain Fidget and Ratigan's other henchmen, while Toby chases Felicia until she jumps over a wall inadvertently into a pack of Royal Guard dogs. Bye, Felicia! Basil seizes control of the Mechanical Queen, making it denounce Ratigan as a fraud while breaking it into pieces. Realizing Ratigan's treason, the enraged crowd attacks, but Ratigan escapes on his dirigible and Fidget holding Olivia hostage. Basil, Dawson, and Flaversham create an airship from a matchbox balloons and a British flag and set off in pursuit. Ratigan tosses Fidget overboard to lighten the load, however, Basil jumps onto the dirigible to confront Ratigan, causing it to crash straight into Big Ben's clock face. Inside the clock tower, Basil restrains Ratigan, chases Olivia, and safely delivers her to Flaversham. Ratigan breaks free and attacks Basil, however, when the clock strikes 10, the vibrations cause Ratigan to fall to his death. He attempts to take Basil with him, but Basil grabs a part of Ratigan's dirigible and saves himself. Back at Baker Street, the group recounts their adventures. The Flavershams depart for home, and Dawson reluctantly resolves to leave as well. A new client arrives, and Basil introduces Dawson to her as his friend and investigative partner, prompting Dawson to remain and assist in Basil's future cases. Getting into the trivia. Ratigan was originally designed to look thin and weak, but when Vincent Price was chosen to play the role, his appearance was changed accordingly. During the recording of Vincent Price's lines, animators sketched his exaggerated Shakespearean gestures and worked them into the animated poses for Ratigan.
Yes.
With this film, Vincent Price realized his lifelong dream that he had always wanted to be the voice of a character in a Disney film. In Sir Arthur Conan Doyle's Sherlock Holmes story, The Sign of Four, Holmes borrowed a dog named Toby, whom this Toby is based on.
Okay. Gotcha.
If I remember correctly from when I read that story, Toby did not like Watson.
I wonder why.
The clock tower scene is the first major use of computer animation in a feature-length animated film.
Gotcha.
Namely with the clock's gears. The same scene was also the first time traditionally animated characters were put inside a computer-generated background. This clock tower scene was inspired, though, by Lupin III, the Castle of Cagliostro from Hayao Miyazaki and TMS Entertainment. Also from our first year of the podcast.
Wow, you're not kidding.
It was ultimately Vice President of Walt Disney Feature Animation, Peter Schneider, who made the decision to change the title of the film from Basil of Baker Street to its current title. On February 13th, 1986, an inter-office memo was sent out to Disney employees in Schneider's name, announcing the renaming of the studio's most beloved classics, changing Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs to Seven Little Men Help a Girl, Fantasia to Color and Music, The Jungle Book was changed to A Boy, a Bear, and a Big Black Cat, and so on in that fashion. Schneider was furious over the memo and attempted to find the author, who was actually animator Ed Gombert, so he could fire him. All the other employees found it a harmless joke and kept quiet. A copy of the memo eventually landed in the pages of the LA Times, with all the new names were incorporated into the What's in a Name category on Jeopardy in 1984.
Oh, wow.
Schneider eventually came to regard the memo as it was intended, and in 2009 reminded Don Hahn about the clip during the production of Hahn's documentary Waking Sleeping Beauty in 2009.
Wow.
When Fidget screams off-screen as he is being fed to Felicia, it's not actually Candy Candido screaming. Instead, it's an unused sound effect for the Haunted Mansion ride.
Really?
At the end of the film, Basil and Professor Ratigan both seem to have fallen to their deaths off the Big Ben clock tower, but Basil reappears, having saved himself using the wreckage of Ratigan's airship. This ending parallels the final confrontation between Sherlock Holmes and Professor Moriarty in Sir Arthur Conan Doyle's The Adventure of the Final Problem. Both Holmes and Moriarty seemingly plunge to their deaths at Reichenbach Falls, but Holmes later turns up alive in The Adventure of the Empty House.
Yes.
Sherlock Holmes speaks with the voice of Basil Rathbone, although it is often erroneously claimed that the lines are taken from one of Rathbone's 1940s performances as Sherlock Holmes on film or radio. This is not true. The cameo is edited from Rathbone's reading of the Sherlock Holmes story, The Adventure of the Red-Headed League, by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle for Caedmon Records in 1966, just months before his death. This explains why Rathbone's voice sounds older and less crisp than in his famous films, and more importantly, why the voice of Rathbone's co-star, Nigel Bruce, was not used for Dr. Watson's brief cameo. The song Let Me Be Good to You was almost cut because, though brief, the lyrics and some animation was considered too risque for Disney animated family film. The animators avoided a PG rating and got the scene kept in by appealing to the censors on the grounds that the segment was a cabaret song and harmless in lyrics, and because the character animated singing in it was a mouse, not a human, and thus not questionable.
Oh, really?
That's why it's not a PG movie.
Oh, that makes sense.
Which brings us to the actual review portion of the show.
Oh, wow.
What's your first like for this film?
My first like is the use of technology, early technology of the cap system, with definitely the clock, with the clock scene.
This was before caps.
Well, they were using it a very early, very early version of cap.
I'm going to double check it, but to my understanding,
Okay.
caps was originally used for a couple scenes in The Little Mermaid, and then went into full use with The Rescuers Down Under.
Okay, fair enough.
I believe in this they were still using hand painted cells.
Yes, but they were you can't find the
I don't
make for
doubt
documentaries where they do use CG to create that scene.
Well, yeah, but that's not caps.
Okay.
That's just vector animation.
Okay.
Because caps was specifically designed for painting cells. For doing the colors. Everything else was still being done by hand. Anyway,
Okay. Be like, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong.
I'm just making sure we're on the same page.
Okay, of course. But that was a very early, because they use CG, they use computer generated graphics to create it. They just went back over and redrew it.
I'm double checking in case I am wrong.
Yeah. But this was absolutely brilliant, breathtaking back in the 80s. Because being in theaters watching this would have been, oh my gosh, it looks like real gears. Mm-hmm. It's moving fluently, and they're able to use the camera instead of a 2D environment, they can do it in a 3D environment where Ratting goes full rat and go scampering up the gear teeth. It's just breathtaking how that's done, because they literally just animated the characters like they normally do, and then they would put it into a computer program and then go back and retrace it and make it be because it is a blend of CG modeling, a very early
CG modeling.
Very early CG rendering. Rendering?
I did double check.
Okay.
And the final scene of Little Mermaid was the first use in a feature film of the cap system.
Okay.
The as you were saying, the gears, they are created in 3D. I can't find what software or who helped them with that.
Yeah.
To make that stuff, but it is literally just 3D objects being drawn.
Yes.
It is in much the same way much other computer. Now, it could very easily be that Pixar, who they were already working with, because it was Pixar who helped develop the cap system.
Yeah.
It could easily be that since
That's what I understand
they
too.
could have actually created the models and just did a wireframe that they then went back and traced.
Yeah, probably.
And that's not the only, those gears are not the only place I saw the computer used. There's a couple other spots, but we'll get to that later.
Okay, yeah. Just the use of very early computers in animation, which is freaking breathtaking, because they could rotate the camera but you see this very imposing run of Ratigan going up the teeth of the and it's just brilliant, because I think part of the like the clock hit, like the hand of the clock is probably used. They probably do use a little bit of computer graphics.
The gears,
gear modeling.
The gears, especially with that sequence of them having to fly through it. That's of course all computer animation.
Yeah, it's all computer animation.
Computer hand, the
clock hand.
The clock hands could be. I'm not 100% certain.
Yeah, there
is a shot during the toy store that I am fairly certain is also a a drawing using that same stuff, but it was just a background image more than anything else. And then there's the bullets at the very beginning when he's comparing the rifling of the bullets.
Oh, okay.
And that looks like it's computer. That definitely looks like it was computer animated.
Yeah. So, again, my first like would be more the use of computer generated imagery in a traditionally hand-drawn animated film. Is absolutely just breathtaking. Because there again had never been done before, and it just what they did in The Great Mouse Detective led to what they're doing now. Yeah. So yeah, it was a leap in technology, a leap in like understanding technology, even though they didn't fully understand it. It's just breathtaking to watch, and I was like, "Wow, that's an amazing scene."
Now, I should say, just so we're all
because
Tron does predate this at 82, but that was not. That's only a couple of scenes that they actually use computer animation for in there. Plus, you also got Wrath of Khan with the Genesis Wave sequence created by Pixar.
Yeah, created by Pixar.
So this is the first time it's really being done in animation. Is really what they're pushing here as part of a 2D animated film. Yeah, that we're really pushing there.
Yeah. So like that's the use of that computer system. It's not CAPS. It's something earlier.
Yeah. But it's probably the Pixar computer, for being honest. I can't find anything in this research to figure out what they did. But if they're already Disney was already working with Pixar for the CAPS system, because it would have been in at least the early stages of development at this point, more than likely. It's very possible they got Pixar to do they probably paid them for some animation sequences that they could then hand paint, hand ink. Yeah. And then hand paint the colors in.
But overall, I thoroughly enjoy those scenes when you're using technology at a very early age. And I think it's executed beautifully. And definitely we have to take in mind, this is the late 80s, the mid 80s. This is the mid 80s. Mid 80s. And they're using CGI. You had Tron in 82. You had an Arthur film, King Arthur film. They used CGI with that.
So that was a TV episode because that's right. Because that was like the Mirror Night or whatever.
Yeah, like Mirror Night. Yeah,
the young Sherlock Holmes or something like that.
Yeah, that's right. And then you had the Abyss with James Cameron. So this is like the very early stages of CG. Yeah, and it was mild breaking. That's not the right word.
I'm not sure what you were going at. Sorry.
Yeah. No, but it's it was a they were breaking rules, and they were trying to branch out and use different technologies in order to get something done.
In order to do something they couldn't do before, and in some cases save a little bit of money here.
Exactly. So the use of CGI in this film, even though it's limited, but they still have to do. Anyways, I'm going to ramble. Yes, it's my first like.
My first like for this film, as much as I agree with yours, is none other than Vincent Price's performance as Professor Rattigan. But I also just like Rattigan as a character because, let's face it, we're now at a point where it's very popular for your villains to have to be the heroes of their own stories, right? Yes. Like they're either doing the evil acts they're doing because they literally think it's what needs to be done in order to put the world back in order, or they're doing it because they are destined to do it, and they're trying to right a wrong of the universe. And then you got people like Professor Ratigan. That are the Snidely Whiplashes of the world. They are evil for evil's sake. And I don't just mean, they're using different terms. He literally is enjoying being evil. Mm-hmm. His villain song, which there's not that many songs in this.
No, there's not.
The World's Greatest Criminal Mind, which is his villain song.
Yes.
You've got Goodbye So Soon, which also is kind of a villain song. Mm-hmm. And then you've got the Cabaret Mouse song, which I can't remember the name of. And that's the only 3 musical numbers in this movie. Because this is at that age of Disney where they kind of were pushing... They're doing musicals without doing musicals.
Right.
And there's a line in there where he's talking where they're singing Ratigan's praises and they go, even meaner, you mean it, worse than those widows and orphans you drown. It's like, that's not something you praise or boast, but it's like, no, this is what we enjoyed. And it's like, because he's about to set off the world's greatest criminal enterprise.
Yes.
Because he's going to take over the world, of course. Or at least Britain. Or at least all of Mousedom, at least. But at the same time, he's not doing it because he sees it as his right. Or as he will be a better choice for the country. He is doing it because that's where he can do the most evil.
Yes.
Because like you listen to his suggestions.
Yes.
Because he technically is trying to be the royal consort at the end of this, not the actual ruler, because it's going to take a little bit longer to work those political shenanigans. Mm-hmm. But the one we actually get to hear the whole thing, which was what? Decree 94, I think he said.
I think so.
Heavy tax will be levied on all of the parasites of our civilization, including the elderly, the infirm, and of course, the little children. And it's like, you are just evil. You at the very least, Scrooge in The Christmas Carol had a chance of a redemption story, and he has a redemption story. There is no chance of a redemption story. You just want to be evil. And I love having a evil for evil's sake villain.
Yes.
It is so much fun to watch him celebrating how evil everything's going. When he captures Basil, he says, I had so many great ideas on how to do you in, but I just couldn't choose. So I decided to do them all. First, a jaunty tune to play us out. And then as the song plays, the chord tightens. Once it tightens all the way, the little ball will start running down the ramp. And once it gets here, snap goes the mousetrap, bang goes the gun, zoom goes the arrow, thwack goes the axe, and then splat goes the anvil.
It goes with the anvil.
Oh, and please don't forget to smile for the camera. And
just genius.
It's ridiculous, but it's hilarious. And much like Sherlock Holmes, which I'll get to more of this in a minute, it takes a little bit of timing for a little bit of thought for Basil to come around and go, oh, I know how to win this. But at the same time, it's like, that is absolutely so ridiculous, and yet I love it. I absolutely love it. And Vincent Price, the perfect choice to play this character. This character would not be as good as he is with any other voice. James Earl Jones couldn't have played this role, and he's the only other person I can think of with a villain voice. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Vincent Price is the perfect role for this. He has that creepy sliminess that works just so well for the character.
Yes.
I love it. This is one of those worlds that when I think of what classic Disney world would I want to see in a Kingdom Hearts game?
Oh, yeah.
I don't want this one because if you're going to do this, you need someone who can pull off Vincent Price's voice for Ratigan.
True.
I don't know if there's anyone who can pull off his voice.
Okay, fair.
There could be some out there. I don't know. But it's like, if you don't get Vincent Price's performance as Ratigan in a voice role in Kingdom Hearts, if you don't get that right, it's just not going to play well. True. It's going to be as bad as the Genie in the Aladdin levels when you couldn't have Robin Williams, so they get Homer Simpson. Dan Castellaneta. And boy, can you tell he's the voice of Homer Simpson in those scenes.
Oh, yeah.
He doesn't quite have Robin Williams' delivery, and he sounds like, ooh, I got a donut.
I got a donut.
You know what I mean.
Yes, I'm aware.
But, yeah, Vincent Price as Ratigan, along with the character of Ratigan himself, is just... He's not just chewing on the scenery, he's gulping it down in great big bites. And I love every second of it. He is 9/10 of the reason to watch this film.
Fair.
Is just him. So, yeah. Professor Ratigan, played by Vincent Price, is my first like for this film.
Okay.
What's your second?
Second like would be, this has a very clean script. Be like there's really not a whole lot of filler. Be like it's more okay. Be like we introduced to our victim. We're introduced to the little girl. She finds her way to Basil. Be like it connects with Ratigan, and it's just like this. Like it's very Sherlockian. Be like it's just like clue after clue after clue after clue. And it just leads you to the next step. And it's not a bunch of this filler where we're trying to understand, where did the little girl's mother go? Or be like, we're going to try to discover who this is. Be like, it's a very clean, straightforward script.
To your point,
okay,
our explanation of what happened to her mother is this. Basil says, surely your mother knows where he is. I don't have a mother.
Yeah.
Like, oh, okay. Yeah. That's all we get. It's like, okay, her mother's dead.
Yeah, very classic Disney, kind of not trope, but kind of a trope.
Well, I mean, heroes with dead parents is kind of a trope in and of itself.
But it's very iconic in Disney films.
Yes, it happens a lot.
The mother dies in some capacity. Because you go back to the history of Walt Disney, his mother died what was it, like a gas leak in their house.
Something like that, yeah.
So it's kind of just fitting that, it's sad at the same time, but it's a very amazing little thing that Disney does in most of their films nowadays, or then and now. But just where was I? I got sidetracked over the passing away of mothers, which is always sad.
Right.
But yeah, it's got a very nice, clean script. There's no real filler or baggage. And it's not trying to tell 20 different stories like they try to do now. Be like but we're going to try to tell a linear story, and it's going to be fun, adventurous, and we're going to go for it. And yeah, it makes the story good. It makes a very, very compelling story to watch. When you have because we've seen scripts that are absolutely abysmal. It's like this, like how like what are you trying to fill here? And then you have stuff like this, which is just incredible. And it's a film that is it's a hidden gem that a lot of people, like, if you're an animation nerd, you probably heard of it. And you probably watched it. So, yeah. Be like, it's got a nice, tight script, which is, the thing to do with films. But, yeah, it's got a nice script. That's what I like.
My second like for the film is that this is so much in the vein of Sherlock Holmes. There's no reason to think it's not, other than he's a mouse.
True.
Since we originally reviewed this film back in 2019, I have not only read a ton of whodunit books.
Okay.
In that intervening time, most of them being Hercule Poirot.
Okay, that makes sense.
Murder on the Orient Express, and of those films.
Yes.
And Agatha Christie novels. I read a bunch of those novels, but I've also read 2 novels of Sherlock Holmes, plus a bunch of his short stories that were in between there. And good night. This is like written in the voice of how those novels are. Yes, there are differences in characters. Don't get me wrong. But literally, I remember when I was reading The Sign of the Four, and they mentioned Toby. I go, Toby? great mouse detective? Because that's my connection to this character.
Yeah.
I didn't know that Toby actually came from Sherlock Holmes. I thought it was a character created for the Basil of Baker Street books. That was just, we need a way for these people to get around. It makes sense Basil would have a dog.
A basset hound.
And a basset hound, because Hound of Baskerville. I just thought that was the connection. Little did I know, Toby is an actual basset hound in the novels, in the Sign of the Four at least. Mm-hmm. And he hates Watson because Watson's not good with animals.
Apparently.
But the dog does what he says, and he's a great hound. I don't think he's a basset. He's a hound dog either way.
Yeah, he's a hound dog.
Bloodhound.
Bloodhound.
In the book, he's a bloodhound.
Oh, okay.
He's also the ugliest dog at the pound. Mm. That's why Sherlock Holmes didn't own him, I don't know. But also the Dawson and Sherlock and Basil's first introduction is right out of A Study in Scarlet, the first Sherlock Holmes novel, when they're showing how Watson met Sherlock.
Oh, okay.
And as soon as they meet, Sherlock pretty much says everything that Basil said of Dawson in this, saying, "Oh, you are obviously in part of a military in Afghanistan, dealing with all this stuff because you used a surgeon cut and this on your sleeve, and it's from the particular thread is from a certain area unique to the Afghan wilds." And the thing is, I didn't make that connection when I read the book. That was he said the same thing. I'm watching it this time and going, did you copy and paste there, guys? Because that's like word for word almost what you said in A Study in Scarlet. It's like, and that's the thing. It is so much in that Holmesian style. Sure, we know it's Ratigan / Moriarty. We don't care that that's who it is, because this is not a whodunit.
Yeah.
It's more like, how did he do it? Is really what's more concerned. And where is he? And how do we stop him now?
Yeah.
And that's and the whole thing of Holmes being brilliant until he's lost, and then he gets very depressed until
it's like,
until Watson / Dawson says something that makes Holmes go,
snaps him out of his
that's it, Dawson, you genius.
Like, I knew I was.
We'll set them all off at once.
Like, do you want to die?
I love that scene. And this scene is not one of my likes,
right?
But I'm including it here because I just love the look of crazed madness on Basil's face, which is we'll set it off at once, and how scared to death Dawson is. Oh, and it just goes as going, okay, when the ball comes down, we need to set the trap off, and Dawson is just going, what's going down? Okay, I guess we got nothing to lose. And ching, ching, and smile, everyone. Ching, and Dawson just looks bewildered, and Basil's got that mad crap-eating grin on his face.
Crap-eating grin.
You know me, I don't like to cuss.
That was a genius.
Smile, everyone. Hey, when you pause that screen, Olivia, being held in his other hand opposite of Dawson, is like, what just happened?
Dawson's I'm in cell shock. What just happened?
I was just in a bottle. How did I get out here?
Exactly. Because they never explained that one, but of course they don't.
You do see it, like somehow the slamming of the anvil on the ground shook the bottle up enough that the cork popped out and it shot her out, which makes no sense because there was no liquid in the bottle that she was in, so there was no way there was carbonation. But who cares? It's fun. And that's what it is. It's like, yeah, this is not a whodunit. This is just a fun film with good-natured heroes and evil villains told in a Holmesian style. And that's why one of the reasons I love this film. So yeah, the fact that this is definitely being told in a Sherlock Holmes voice, even though Some of the crazier elements in this film would not have appeared in a Sherlock Holmes book, but that's only because this is a cartoon.
Yes.
So, what is your third like?
My third like would we're arcing back to that era of Disney, which is the kind of the dark ages, but the way they would use darker elements, they would use be like, I think of Oliver and Company, where the villain is like the villain of villain's sake.
Yes.
You have
Evil.
Be like you have the Black Cauldron. You have all these other films that have this noir of darkness. Be like, it frightens you. Because I guarantee if I was a kid and watched the Black Cauldron in theaters, that would scare me half to death.
To quote Rizzo the Rat in A Muppet Christmas Carol, this really is a dirty city.
You're not kidding. You're not kidding, because like the way they use more of the dark ambient light. Like they use a lot of dark, like gritty and everything. I enjoy when they do that in like cartoons and TV shows or like comics or whatever, because you're using a different element. You're not trying to brighten everything up. You're trying to gritty it up and trying to like they would do with Blade Runner, the films of that era, because they're trying to gritty and make it more realistic and more like a apocalyptic or something like that. Because it was the 80s. It wasn't the greatest year in the world because they thought World War III was right around the corner. We're all going to get nuked to death.
Nah, just give it 40 years.
Give it 40 years. Ugh. Either or.
I'm not pessimistic at all.
No. Of course not. Of course not. But I do enjoy the gritty. I don't want to say noir because it's not really a noir.
No, it's not noir.
No, it's not noir at all.
But it is very gritty.
Yeah,
it is an 80s gritty tale.
Yeah, very gritty 80s tale. And look and the style and everything.
Yeah.
So I enjoy that for what it is, because you don't see that a lot anymore, because they want everything bright and poppy, everything, or like be like everything has to be like set in this right kind of dull darkness, not a gritty. And it's like, okay, I don't know what was around that corner.
You can't scare the children.
Yeah, you can't scare anybody now. Oh my gosh.
Meanwhile, in this film, worse than the widows and orphans you drowned.
And the bat popping up every once in a while, giving yourself a stinging heart.
Gears, girls, uniforms.
Oh yeah. Yeah. But I
Felicia. It's like,
oh my gosh.
We need a poll. I need to put a poll on Facebook at some point. Who is the most evil cat? Lucifer or Felicia?
Lucifer.
A cat named after the devil, or the best joke setup for a 90s movie ever? Yes.
Friday. Oh my gosh.
And I've never even seen that movie. I just know that scene. And I remember when we were reviewing this movie originally, and we were talking about what's going to be in my third like, spoiler alert. It's like, bye, Felicia. And I realized it during the recording.
Yes. It's the fact that we titled that episode Bye, Felicia. So, yeah.
I don't even know what I'm naming this one, because the obvious one is Took. With that older episode.
That's true. We'll like maybe in the course of like the rest of the episode we'll figure out what we can title it. But yeah, mine is the
widows and orphans you drowned.
My gosh. No. I'm expecting right now for RC to clip that in some capacity. Anyways, so my third like is what I've titled The Darkness of Disney in the 80s. Gritty, gritty realism in a cartoon. It's just, wow, it just scares the crap out of you as a kid and as an adult. And it's like, wow, I'm really enjoying this. This is really good. They need to go back to doing this at some point. But yeah, that's my third like. What is your third like? And I'm betting something to do with a cat jumping over a fence.
Oh, the entire end of this film and granted, it includes what you brought up earlier with the clock tower.
Oh, yeah.
But that's more like the cherry on top of the very well-made cupcake. you know, because you got the whole thing of them having this robotic mouse queen that they've kidnapped the queen for on the eve of her Diamond Jubilee.
Yes.
Which, fun fact, this was around the time of Queen Victoria's Diamond Jubilee, too. Just putting that out there.
And apparently, Queen Victoria wasn't a very nice woman. Let's just say that.
Yeah, the Queen of all Mousedom was apparently a lot nicer. But the Queen, you've got the robot queen and Radigan's whole thing, and to me it starts the minute the Queen looks down at Fidget and says, "Have you been with us long?" And
He's a bat.
He's a bat. It's like, okay, and then of course they kidnap her. They're doing the whole thing with Radigan, with Flaversham being forced to read off cue cards, and Radigan doing his thing in full royal military regalia,
flamboyant beyond belief,
which is hilarious. And you get this shot of Fidget dragging the Queen down this corridor.
Yes.
He is jumping up and down as he's going, because of course he is.
Of course.
And I don't remember what he says, but you've got those shots of Felicia at the end of the corridor jumping into frame as the Queen sees her, and it's like, that part in and of itself is funny. And then of course you get there where they save everybody, but then Felicia is chasing them all over the grounds, until Toby shows up and then chases Felicia.
Oh my gosh! Yes,
and
across the parking lot.
And Felicia jumps up on this wall.
And think she has the upper advantage.
She does that whole thing. It's like, "Ha! I beat you," and does the whole
fluffs her
tail up in the air. It's like, "Ha ha!
Kiss my butt.
I win this round, silly doggy," and then jumps over the fence, and the camera just pans down and says the royal hounds or the royal dogs or whatever,
royal guard dogs,
royal guard dogs, and you just hear this. I was like, and I am laughing my full head off. I'm a cat person, folks. I love cats. I don't like to see cats suffer.
But that cat deserves it.
But here's the thing. I will even say this cat acts the way it does because of Radigan. And the cat could have ate Radigan at any time, other than it was obviously being fed a lot of minions. Because, good Lord, was that a fat cat? Actually, when I was watching this, and he does that first, ding-a-ling for Bartholomew, and you see this.
I love the perspective of
Kaiju cat.
Kaiju cat.
I don't know if your main characters are mice and you have a giant cat, if that technically qualifies as a kaiju. But it had that,
from their perspective,
it had the feeling of Godzilla coming in to eat Bartholomew, or at least a dragon of some sort. A dragon underneath the spell of some evil wizard who is trying to take over all of Mousedom. You know what I mean?
Yes.
It's that kind of feel to it. And it's like, yeah, I love cats. This cat deserved it. This is not a Gigi. This is not a Garfield. This is not any of the good cats.
True.
That we have had over the years. This is a spoiled, rotten, evil cat who deserved everything she got. And it's just so hilarious, that little bit of pride she has.
Something. Just clip that, please.
Bye, Felicia.
Bye, Felicia. Yeah. Bye, Felicia. So
That's
good.
how she leaves the film.
It just pans down on like royal guard dogs.
We don't even see what happens to Toby after this until we get the zoom out shot at the end of the film.
Yeah.
Because we don't care. That's not important anymore. Felicia's gone. We don't know if she's dead or if she escaped with barely a tinge of fur on her backside. Running for dear life, having spent 5 of her 9 lives. I prefer to think she did spend a couple of those 9 lives.
Oh, yeah. Yes, I agree.
But, yeah, the whole ending, and that's before you even get
just
to
genius.
oh, you want to lighten the load, Fidget, and throw Olivia overboard. Okay. Grabs the bat, throws him off. Like, I can't fly! I can't fly! Ah! It's like, you know, Fidget, I don't like you, but you didn't deserve that either.
Yeah, that's true. He's a helpless, stupid minion.
Because he was just so much fun to watch.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just Ratigan being evil again, which is what we want.
Yeah.
And then you get into the whole clock tower scene, which is beautiful in and of itself. It's the perfect way to end this. It's a very Batman-esque ending, and Basil does fit that because of the detective thing. Mm-hmm. And then you get like the shout out to the book that was supposed to kill Sherlock Holmes, but you can't keep a good money-making detective down.
Exactly.
No matter how much Sir Arthur Conan Doyle wanted to not write another Sherlock Holmes novel as long as he lived, and he still had to bring him back because it made him too much money. But oh man. It's just so good. So good. This is one of those you watch, you know, there are a lot of other films from this era.
Oh yeah.
Both Disney and others that I have enjoyed, and they don't put the smile on my face that this movie puts on.
That's true.
This to me is one of the classics. Don't get me wrong, love Little Mermaid, love Rescuers Down Under. It's kind of got that same I didn't escape the third grade for nothing.
I didn't.
Kind of a thing. Artsy says, for Jacob, that clip is named Cat Dying Noises by Felicia.
Yes. Yes.
Thank
you, Artsy.
That's going on the shorts tonight.
Yes.
But, it is, I love this. I love this film. It is... I'm not saying there's not better made films.
Yes.
I'm just, granted, to a degree, you put my feet to the fire. Yeah, I like Rescuers Down Under a bit better. I like Lion King is better than this. Aladdin. These are all classics, but you want to say we're going to watch a stupid fun film tonight that most people have never seen for whatever reason.
Yeah.
It's like, you know what? I'm there. I love this film. Let's give it a watch. After this, let's watch Robin Hood, because people don't talking about that movie enough either. And you know what? Goofy movie.
There
now.
you go. Yes, Goofy movie.
All these films that really should have done better than they did.
Oh, good night, yes. Good night, yes.
Yes, that is my third and final like for this movie. But as much as we like this film, we need to talk about problems that the film has.
Oh yeah,
if we can think of any.
If we can think any. So
what's your first dislike?
My first dislike. Now, granted, this is a severe nitpick. Now, granted, I do enjoy Ratigan as a villain. He is the over the top, be like villain for villain's sake, but cheesy is all out kind of villain. Be like, for some reason in my mind, I kept thinking I want Ratigan to be the villain of villains, not the cheesy mustache twirling, be like, oh, he's a genius, but actually he's like completely deranged. And I want him to be more like Moriarty. Yeah, Moriarty. I want him to be a villain. Yeah. But be like, obviously this is the why and why they did this, because they wanted to, because one, it's Vincent Price, two, it's just like how they designed the character, who he is. But for me, I think it comes down to not its inspiration from Sherlock Holmes, but the fact that it's based on Basil of Baker Street. Yeah. Granted, I have not read Basil of Baker Street. I should. Yeah. But my understanding is that is basically meant to be Sherlock Holmes for kids. Yeah, it is. So they take a more kid-friendly approach with these characters. I agree. And I think I think it would have been a cool idea, because they're going to be like, you're in the quote-unquote dark ages in Disney. Because, again, Price as not Moriarty, sorry. Ratigan. As Ratigan, be like, is genius. I enjoy that. Do not get me wrong. I do not want to replace that at all. I think if they were to do something different, be like, just make it more of a Moriarty character who is ruthless as all out. And be like, and you just use that dark theme. But he keeps feeding his minions to this giant cat. That's true. That's true, ruthless. Oh yeah, I agree. He doesn't get. Grant, they play again. It's a nitpick. They do play it for laughs here. I will grant. I agree. It might be a much more like
I'm not going to say older or more mature, but I could see why you think, oh, if we played it a little more serious, how that might work better.
Yeah.
And I don't think you'd have to take much, but I think in order to do that, you have to kill, like, the world's greatest criminal mind, kill that song, and, like, one or two other comedic spots that happens with Ratigan.
Yeah. I kind of agree. With that.
And I don't know if I want to lose the song "World's Greatest Criminal Mind" because it is so much fun.
I agree with you. I think there's I think there would have been the potential because they are going to be like using more of that dark theme that Disney was using at that time. Because be like, do not again. I'm going to stress this as much as I can. I enjoyed this performance by Price as Ratigan. I enjoyed it tremendously. I think there was a little part of me really wishing they would have cranked it up by 11 with that darkness.
I can understand that.
And just make him a villain who is just so despicable. Be like,
at that point, though, definitely would be rated PG.
Yeah, you definitely,
because you can tell this barely skated by at G.
Oh yeah, agreed. And plus, this is the 80s, so where the notion of G was kind of they were starting to question, be like, do you call it G?
I don't remember when PG-13 was created, but I know
Raiders of the Lost Ark.
And actually, I don't remember. No, I think it's actually Temple of Doom.
Oh yeah, that's right. It was Temple of Doom.
Because Raiders is PG.
Yeah,
and people were saying, "Is this really what we think?"
Yeah,
should
Temple
be
of Doom was like, "This is PG. This looks like an R film."
Right. And that's why they made the PG-13, but I don't remember what year that was.
Okay.
And I think at the time, that's why you have so many more G-rated films at the time, because PG was pretty much doing the job of what PG-13
Okay,
does.
got it.
And G had a much wider range. Now G is limited to documentaries about the wildlife.
Oh,
and
fair.
PG and almost all the Disney films are now PG.
Mm-hmm.
So even something as safe as Winnie the Pooh, I think, is PG.
Okay.
Princess and the Frog was PG.
That is true.
And there's some scary imagery, but that's a fairly squeaky clean film.
Agreed.
Tangled was PG.
Yes, agreed.
But anyway, yeah, I get what you're saying, but I think what we're seeing here is the difference between like the pre Little Mermaid and post Little Mermaid, because about that time is where they start doing more serious fare. With Little Mermaid, I think is when they try to start taking their stories more seriously and not just making easy kid films. Granted, there's a lot of darkness in this also, but yeah, it's lightened because we're playing it goofy and fun.
Agreed.
So yeah, I understand where you're coming from.
Oh yeah. Agreed. So yeah, that was, again, it's a nitpick. I think it's more of a personal choice with me, because I think it would be like, okay, but again, this movie is great. There's so many like great things, like Ratigan's like the perfect villain. He's villains for villain's sake. He's silly, but at the same time, be like he's a real menace and a threat. Be like, I think overall he's kind of campy. He's a campy villain. And I think
camp is not something that plays well with everybody.
Not with everybody. But like, I enjoyed it. I do enjoy it. Do not get me wrong.
You just want something more akin to not a Joker, but say a Two-Face,
like a Two-Face, or like an Emperor Palpatine or something like that.
Right?
Who's a villain for the villain's sake? Who's going to destroy everything because the sake he is a villain?
Well, in that case, I suggest checking out any of the Sherlock Holmes books with Moriarty in them.
There we go.
Because that's pretty much how that character is played. This is meant to be a more...
It's a kid's version.
Moriarty-esque, but it's meant to be more friendly.
Yeah, so I get
more
that.
More family-friendly. So,
I get that.
My first dislike for this film, there are a number of places, as much as we talked about, especially with the great animation in the clock tower sequence.
Oh, yeah.
And in some of the other more actiony sequences, there's a number of places where my brain immediately goes to the cabaret, where there's a couple of places where they go for like 15-20 seconds of like two of the mice background dancers are dancing on the stage. We don't know where the main dancer went off to, and they're just while the song is playing and the camera is zooming out while they're dancing on stage, and like the rest of the background is not doing anything, and it's very obvious that they are. I don't know if this would have been obvious on a television screen on CRT, but I'm fairly certain I might have caught, and it may not have even been. It would have been harder to catch maybe on a movie screen also.
Okay.
Maybe. But on my HD screen, what I saw was very obvious. Oh, there's two different layers on screen right now.
Okay.
This is not a problem you run into a lot where it's very obvious. Like, it's like the magic was broken for just a second.
Okay, there.
And there are a number of places where the animation does break that magic from time to time.
Fair.
I'm not going to go so far as to call them animation errors, because I don't think that's what it was. It was just a couple of places where the polish was not applied to a good sheen, for lack of a better term. And that comes down to this was one of the last expensive hand painted films. Technically, we get one more with most of the Little Mermaid before they go to Caps, where it's where the coloring is done digitally and it's printed onto the film. But there's just a couple of spots where it's like, it's back when I was still living at the house, and one of my chores was mowing the lawn. Okay. Every once in a while, I'm sure this happened to you too. When you mowed the lawn, every once in a while, maybe you didn't quite hit the edge of the grass. Maybe you cut in a little too far, and there's a couple of sprigs of grass standing up. Oh yeah. And when my dad would see that, he would say, "Hey, yeah, you got a holiday over there." That's kind of what I'm thinking here. It's a holiday. It's you missed a spot. Yeah, and that's what I'm seeing.
You have a blade of grass up.
I'm seeing where you missed a spot. Does it matter in the grand scheme of things?
Not really.
Probably not. But it's like, that's a spot that broke the magic. Maybe some of that is because I've watched way too many animated films.
That's true.
In the course of 5 years.
Or the one that that comes to mind for me, that immediately comes to mind is what was it? We just talked about it a second ago. It's Oliver Company.
Yeah, where the dogs disappear.
Dog disappears in the background. They're running. You go, boop, they're gone.
I remember when I saw that. It's like, oh, there's a dislike.
Yeah, there's a problem with that.
But that's an artifact of the budgets were being slashed at this time. I mean, you don't see this in Black Cauldron because they were poured so much money into that in the hopes of reinvigorating the studio. Oh yeah, with this new approach to Disney films, and it didn't work. And so they're working on like slashed budgets, and they're still able to put out this amazing looking film. It's just there's a couple spots where they didn't have time or didn't have the money to go back and polish up a scene or two, and it's like. Yeah, it's like that. It's a thing that's noticeable, and that's my first dislike. Is there's just a couple of blades of grass sticking up.
Gotcha.
What's your second dislike?
My second dislike. Okay, so again, this is more of a nitpick because we're talking about aerodynamics. So if you can, I think you Drew probably figured out where I'm going.
I think I know where you're going. Okay. It's one of those most unbelievable scenes.
Oh yeah, exactly. So you have the scene where I want to say Moriarty, but he's not Moriarty.
Yeah, but it's Ratigan.
Ratigan and Basil are on the clock tower, and Ratigan falls to his death, and he pulls Basil with him, and all Basil has is the back end of the what was it called? Well, it was like an airship.
It was a dirigible.
Yeah, dirigible.
But basically, it's a little blimp.
Yeah, it was a little blimp. And so it'd be like they plummet to
airship.
Their airship. It was an airship. So they plummet to their death.
They got it from Sid.
They got it from Sid. But I get that joke, even though I've never played Final Fantasy.
Most Sids have the ships. So.
That's true. That's true. But be like, it's okay. Everything is lost. New Year's is, and here goes Basil coming up with the back end of this rotor,
pedaling for dear life.
And I'm like, okay, that's cool, but
it wouldn't work in reality.
It wouldn't work because,
and you want to know why? Helicopters.
Yeah,
because that little that's the thing. That little propeller that's bringing him up, that he's causing to pedal for dear life. That is on a helicopter. That's designed to keep the entire helicopter from spinning while with the blade staying still.
Yeah,
so that it will actually
designed to
work.
Keep it.
There's nothing like that on what Basil has. So it's like you should be spinning and falling more than anything else.
Yeah,
Basil.
exactly.
I don't want that to happen, but.
And plus, the rotation of the air is completely wrong because it's designed to cut through the air like this.
Yeah,
it's not designed to cut through the air like that. So it'd be like you like the aerodynamics and the
there's a lot. It's like that's very unbelievable.
Very unbelievable. But again, it's a cartoon.
And while I get to that, I throw that back to the actual what actually happened with Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah,
because in the book where he and Moriarty they fall down Rickenbach Falls and they're dead, and then all of a sudden in the next book, Sherlock Holmes is alive with no explanation. Here, at least they tried to give us an explanation.
They did.
How Basil survived. Yeah, whether it makes sense or not,
I agree,
is another matter.
I agree. Now, if the blades had been rotated more the opposite direction, that'd be more plausible from a physics standpoint. But the fact to be like those are supposed to rotate in a certain direction, and now they're going up. It's not going to work because the airflow isn't going to work like that. Because all it's going to do be like you're going to have the air turbulence. It's just going to whip it.
I would have more appreciated.
So he should be on the ground.
What I would have more appreciated from that song, and this is just a what if.
Yeah,
mind you, if maybe they saw Basil fall to his death, they land in front of Buckingham Palace, and they're all sad, and then Basil just walks up and says, "Tally ho, good chaps, how's everything going?" And they go, "Basil, how did you survive?" "Well, there was a chance thing happened by, and everything happened to work." And basically, I'm suggesting the Batman 66 way of surviving, but have it happen off screen.
Yeah,
and it's like. Oh yeah, he survived. Why? Because he's Basil of Baker Street. Because he's Sherlock Holmes, basically. Of course he survived. We got to make more money. We got to have sequels that we never had sequels for. But yeah, I get what you're saying.
Yeah. So yeah, that was more of a nitpick because I saw it. I guarantee Drew said that physics ain't gonna work that way.
It's one of those things where I see it and go, that ain't gonna work, but I'll live. But here's another question I have in terms of nitpicking the physics of the cartoon. When Ratigan and all his cronies are in that dirigible, leaving Basil and Dawson tied up on the mousetrap, while the song's going, they're riding on that airship and they go through. They fly into a stove. The camera goes up to pans up, and we see them exit through a chimney.
Yes.
How does that work? They have no obvious vertical way of doing a vertical lift, except for however much helium is going to be in those, in the balloon part of it, and even then. They would have floated up. They'd either had to show them releasing ballast in order for that to work. But it's the same. The ship looks the same when we see it back up again as they're heading towards Buckingham Palace. So how did it even rise in the chimney? And B, how did it fit in the chimney pipe? That chimney pipe was too small for that ship to because it's not going to have gone into the stove and turned up, pointed itself upwards and to go up through the chimney. A, everyone would have fallen out. B, that ain't how dirigibles work.
And plus, it would have lost thermodynamic lift.
Yes.
It'd be like,
so
they're going to drop.
I get why you did it, and it's, like you said, it's that campiness that you kind of just let it go. Yeah.
It's cartoon logic.
But if you're going to bring up his bat helicopter.
Yeah.
Made from that dirigible. I'm going to bring the fact that dirigible is made of freaking magic.
That's true.
That's the only explanation as to how it rose up through that pipe. And if that's the case, then you have no reason. Then the Basil was able to survive his makeshift helicopter because it was made of magic too. Because obviously it had magical lifting powers. Of course, pedaling as fast as he can will cause him to rise into the air.
Of course.
It worked when Ratigan left through the chimney pipe.
Of course.
And that.
Hush, Roy.
And that is scene.
Rentmaster activated.
It's like the most unearned.
Owned by Nate Marchand of the Monster Island Film Vault. For more information, please go to monsterislandfilmvault.com.
Most unearned Ratmaster.
Oh, yeah, you're not kidding. You are.
Because I don't even feel that strongly about it.
No.
I'm just falling off of yours. What's your third dislike?
I really don't have one.
I don't either.
Okay. So, ever since we reviewed this back in September 2019.
Yes. What did we rate this thing?
I want to get your, because obviously you can't see it from my perspective.
Right.
So, what did you think you rated it?
I'm guessing I rated it like an 8 or a 9.
Okay. You rated it an 8.
An 8.
You rated it 8. So, 5 years on,
8.5.
as a rewind,
8.5.
8.5.
I think I like it more now. It may just be being older and a little bit more nostalgia glasses on it, because this film, to my way of thinking, it's getting better with age in many ways for me.
Okay. It's like a fine wine with cheese.
Right. I'm not saying there's not problems with it. We've discussed that.
Yeah.
But I still enjoy this film.
Oh, yeah.
And no amount of tragicness from Roy is going to change that. I actually need to go back and listen to because I believe they have also
I think so.
reviewed this film, and I need to go back and find out what Roy actually rated this. I have a feeling me and Paul are on the same page on this one, but
probably
I have a feeling that this is not one of the few Disney films that broke through Roy's anti-Disney hate wall.
Maybe. So
There were some, but I don't think this is one of them.
Exactly. So going to mine, like in 5 years ago, I rated the exact same way Drew did. I rated it as an 8. So now I give it an 8.5 because they're going to be like, it is kind of like a fine. It's like a fine. They're going. I don't drink, but it's.
I don't either.
Yeah, the illustration of a very fine aged wine and a good block of cheese with a good sharp knife, and a good dinner with friends and or your loved ones or something like that, and just like you're enjoying something that's a classic, not a tragedy, Roy. Overall, I'll be like, I thoroughly enjoy this film tremendously, and I'm hoping at some point to add it to my movie collection. So, yes, 8.5. And if we review it again in the next 10 years, it'll probably be a 9.
Probably at the rate things are going.
Yeah. By the grace of God. Be like, if this show continues for another 10 years, for another 5 years, it'll be amazing. And if that happens, oh my gosh. Where will we be in another 5 years?
So, next Friday is Memorial Day.
Yes.
And we are taking that Friday off.
Yes. It's like
May 30th is our next episode.
Yes.
And we will be reviewing Muppet Treasure Island. And I think we have guests, but we need to verify that still, and that's still 2 weeks out. I know one of them said they were definitely wanting to do it.
Yes.
And probably the other one will too. So
probably.
And they are some Culture Box peeps, but we'll do the final announcement at a later date.
Yes.
So join us in 2 weeks for that episode.
Yes.
In the meantime, we are going to play some bumpers and get ready to go into some Batman.
This podcast is a proud member of Culture Box. Whether you enjoy geeky reviews, comedy, or original fiction, you can open up the Culture Box and find something excellent for your soul. Point your web browser to culturebox.media.
This seems appropriate. This week, we suggest checking out the Retro Rewind podcast. Every other week, join the Retro Rewind pod as they travel back 15 or more years along the entertainment space-time continuum in their mission to review movies and games, establishing what is still worth your time today. You can expect fun banter and trivial insights from Francisco, aka Roy, Paul, jpowers.com, and a rotating cast of guest hosts who are all out of time. The Cellcast would also like to thank the following patrons: Ashley and Roy Ruiz. You're welcome, Francisco, aka the Ruiz family, PaulJPowers.com, The Monster Island Film Vault, and Edwin Gonzalez. If you would like to have your name shouted out on the show, all you got to do is donate at the $1 level. If you would like to have special art from Jacob, uncut episodes, that's $5 on Patreon. And for $10, you can get us to review a film of your choice within reason. And if you so desire, you can actually also be a guest on that episode. So, go donate to us on Patreon at one of those levels. And there may be, which the patrons kind of already know we talked about this because it'll be in the uncut part, there may be a new
Patreon level.
Not a patron level, but a new reward at the $5 level, probably. Yeah. At least at the $5, maybe 10, but I don't know yet.
Yeah, we may or
we'll
may
be talking
not,
about it later.
Yeah, we'll discuss this, but I think it would be a good trial run to be like, hey, get some friends together and watch something silly.
So join us for go do that. Also, check out our Redbubble store to buy t-shirts and other merch, and join Jacob on Monday nights.
Yeah, it's Monday nights. When
you do get back to doing art streams.
Yes,
because I know you've had a busy couple of weeks and haven't got back into the stream into the flow yet. But join Jacob for that, and then on Tuesday nights. On your Twitch channel, which is Like an Artist.
Yeah, Like an Artist.
But on the main Cellcast gaming channel, and along with the Facebook and the YouTubes, you can join me on Tuesday nights where I am playing other video games, probably some Kingdom Hearts soon, again, which means that there's also another podcast for you to go listen to that I do called The Cellcast Presents Untangling Kingdom Hearts, where I'm trying to untangle the tapestry that is the convolution of...
That is Kingdom Hearts.
That is Kingdom Hearts, if we're being honest. It's one of those things where if you start at the beginning and work your way through it in the right order, it makes sense, but you try to explain it to somebody who doesn't know what you're talking about, you sound like a madman.
Yeah, and so just for clarification,
it's like someone describing a 7 seasons television series.
Yes. So one of the things that always, I don't want to say be like, it was one of the first episodes we did, and Drew wanted to do this.
It was the second episode.
It was the second episode. We recorded.
And it never got released.
And it was him trying to describe Kingdom Hearts in a nutshell, and it took him
2 hours? It was like midnight when I went home, and I didn't even get through 3/4 of it.
Oh yeah. Like
you kicked me out of your apartment.
Yeah, literally.
At Studio A.
That was before I had internet. Let's say that.
So yes, keep an eye out for all of those things.
Yes.
Okay, before we get into some Batman,
yes,
we have feedback.
That
I should have been reading over the course of the past 3 months. So I don't just mean when you were out with your with your issues.
Yes.
I mean I should have been putting this in the thing. Which, considering they're all Marchand.
Oh, okay. So when you say that, be like, I want to bring something up because I was listening to our original episode of The Great Mouse Detective. So when I don't know you remember this at all, but one of our, I think it was on Instagram, like one of the people who left a review was Passive Creative.
Okay, yeah,
that's my brother Jim.
Yes.
So
and I read a bunch of those on. I didn't realize that was this episode that I read a bunch of those.
Oh yeah,
that he did.
Oh yeah,
not intentional. It's just I meant to do it. I meant to do these from Marchand last week, but I forgot to actually get it in the notes. So
it happens.
From our episode titled, "But how are we going to explain this to Big Bird?" The Muppets at Walt Disney World, uncut on our Patreon. Marchand says Charles Grodin was also the villain in King Kong 1976.
Oh, gosh.
And then he says, "Blame me, I'm a frog." From our episode titled The Ogre's Butt, which was Quest for Camelot uncut.
Oh my gosh, yes.
He says, "A good thing you corrected yourself on the Mulan villain. Shao Kahn was from Mortal Kombat." And then we had mentioned Tim Hawkins because he was going to be back in April. He was here in town, and I don't think either one of us got to go see it. He said he saw Tim Hawkins years ago in Fort Wayne.
Oh, okay.
From our episode titled Psychopathy, which was our review of Perfect Blue uncut.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
He says that psychopathy is actually a real word.
Yeah.
Which I had found out while I was doing the edit. But as of right now, I don't remember what it means. And I'm too lazy to Google.
I'm drawing a blank because it's
He
already...
did leave a link, but because of the way I did this, I can't click it.
Ah, gotcha.
From,
oh my gosh.
From our episode titled Utterly Ridiculous, Batman and Superman Battle of the Super Sons, we had a bit of a conversation. And this is not even the whole thing.
No.
I cut this in half. He says, "For the record, I have touched an udder."
Oh my gosh. It just keeps coming back.
He then says, "The fans did kill Jason Todd by a 49-51 split."
Yeah, that's close.
He says, "Starro originally appeared in Justice League #1, and Mir is actually the Russian word for peace."
Ah.
I will read more feedback next week.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
I think there's not much left. It's just I ran out of time on getting that conversation fully posted into my notes.
I gotcha. So where were those posted at?
Those are actually posted on our Patreon under the comments section under our uncut episodes.
Oh, okay.
Along with there, if you are a $5 level patron, as he was when he posted that, you can also post on our YouTube channel or on what is that called?
I don't know. I don't know what it is.
Spotify. Spotify comments. Admittedly, I know I have some there from pauljpowers.com that I just found the other day. And I haven't gotten them thrown into the notes yet, so forgive me on that, Paul. And I think they're from a couple years, about a year ago.
It happens.
I am not good at remembering to actually check all these things. So please, if you post a review and want to make sure I see it,
message him about it.
PM me, please. I may not catch it. So, anyway, that brings me to the end of the feedback.
I am vengeance. I am the night. I am Batman. 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 There is a song the good folks sing.
Heart of Steel, parts 1 and 2. Yes, another two-parter. We review it as one episode.
Oh my gosh.
These first aired November 16th, 1992 and November 17th, 1992. They were both directed by Kevin Altieri and written by Bryn Stevens.
Yes.
In these episodes, the notorious scientist Carl Rossum has developed a massive artificial intelligence unit called Hardak, which has been programmed for the good of mankind.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, Hardak has interpreted this to mean that mankind must be superseded. Starting with Rossum's assistant, Rhonda Duane, Hardak begins replacing human beings with robot duplicates. Batman becomes aware of Hardak's activities after several objects have been stolen from Wayne Enterprises, but the Dark Knight might be too late to save the day since Hardak can easily replace Batman's closest allies and discover his secret. Barbara Gordon gets into the swing of action when her father, Commissioner Gordon, and other high-profile city figures are targeted by Hardak. Barbara and Batman work together to stop the computer's evil plans, and they are eventually able to defeat Hardak and its duplicate army. New cast for this episode, we got Melissa Gilbert as Barbara Gordon, William Sanderson as Carl Rossum, Jeff Bennett as Hardak, and Leslie Eaterbrook as Rhonda Duane. Trivia for this episode. Carl Rossum is undoubtedly a combination of the name of Czech author Karel Čapek and RUR, which stands for Rossum's Universal Robots. The play written by Čapek, which is credited with coining the word robot, which is Czechoslovakian for slave.
Ah, didn't know that.
And as it is used now in this episode, Carl Rossum invents duplicates instead of which are basically robots. Carl Rossum, inventor of the duplicates, is voiced by William Sanderson, who played J.F. Sebastian in Blade Runner in 1982, a genetic designer behind the replicants.
Oh, okay.
In that film.
Gotcha.
Hardak, his appearance resembles the HAL 9000 from 2001: A Space Odyssey from 1968, in that both sport one red lens through which they speak.
That makes sense.
The license plate on the getaway car for the first theft is RUR, which is, of course, a reference to the play by Karel Čapek. In RUR, Čapek is credited with... Oh, yeah, I already said that. Cybertron is the name of the planet the Transformers come from in the series of the same name.
Ah, gotcha.
That kind of goes without saying.
Yeah.
Hardak appears to also be based on Skynet from the Terminator franchise.
That's what I kept
with
thinking.
Terminator 2 Judgment Day coming out 1 year before this episode. This episode shows Barbara Gordon has interest in fighting crime, foreshadowing her future role as Batgirl. And when breaking into Cybertron headquarters in search of her father, Barbara Gordon is sporting a violet-covered top. This could serve as a reference to the color of Batgirl's original costume featured in earlier Batman comics and television series. And that's what I got for the trivia. What are your thoughts on these episodes?
These episodes, oh my gosh, you're just so well done, because you have the line that got me was like, let me go to my notes real fast because I wrote it down.
Yeah.
All right, so the quote that got me: "Will you please let go of my cape?" Because Barbara's holding on to his cape,
Yes,
because she wants to go with him. And be like, "Will you please let go of my cape?" And this kind of a flat tone. It's like no one's ever touched my cape before. Why are you touching my cape?
You don't pull on Batman's cape. That's not how the song goes. It's actually Superman, but whatever.
Right. But oh my word, yeah, it was just like, this is such a, we're introduced to Barbara Gordon for the first time in the Batman animated universe, and she's fresh from college, just like Dick is.
Yes.
And apparently Bruce, oh my gosh, this goes ugh. Anyways, apparently Bruce and Barbara have known each other for many years, ever since she was a little kid.
That makes sense to a degree.
Yeah, because Commissioner Gordon and Bruce have known each other for years. But it's just like, if you go further into the comics, or
it goes a little darker than we would prefer.
Just a little bit. But be like, I do enjoy their little banter between each other. Be like, it's like two friends are reuniting at one time. Be like, hey, how you doing, kid? Because obviously Bruce is a lot older. Yeah. But it's just more like, it's fun to see those kind of interactions with, kind of cartoons. It's really cool. So, but I enjoy it because then you're introduced to Hardak, which I think of Hordak from He-Man. Because we already did He-Man and She-Ra Secret of the Sword. If you haven't listened to that episode, go listen to it. I enjoy this because it does deal with artificial intelligence, AI, and what AI can do. Because Drew brought up all those references. I think of Al from, I think it's Al. Hal. That's it.
Hal 9000.
Hal 9000. But yeah, just be like, it's like it goes into this what AI is, and be like, is it really sentient? Does it have a free will of its own? And it just brings up all those unique questions, which we're now kind of facing now in 2025.
Except we are nowhere near the sophistication of the AI presented in this film.
Oh yeah, I agree. Otherwise, it'd be like, I think most of us would be like, we do not want Skynet, needs to burn.
Well, no, what I'm talking about is what they're currently calling AI right now.
Yeah.
Is very basic, expensive here's the most likely next word that needs to be said in the conversation.
Yeah.
So they're not really thinking.
Yeah.
In the episode, Rossum does describe as, he had found the link to between computers and actual artificial intelligence, where it would not only have the speed of a computer processor, but it would also have the intuition and the ability to leap in logic that humans have. And that's the one thing that even our current level of AI does not have, even though it can seem like it in many cases.
Yes, I agree.
For anyone curious on my thoughts on AI, what we are currently calling AI, I don't consider AI, because in my mind, AI is like Data from Star Trek or C-3PO and R2-D2 from Star Wars.
Yeah.
That to me is what AI is supposed to be.
Gotcha.
What we are seeing here is just very, 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 very fancy regular computers.
Yeah, I get you.
That just that can guess that in our modern day. Now, they get around that in this by having what they called wetware, which I believe wetware is actually a term, a real term. It wasn't made for this. I don't know the exact definitions of it, but it's basically in this a MacGuffin for this magical technology that has allowed Hardak to gain the ability to intuit what needs to be done. At least as far as it understands.
Yeah, agreed.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but
you're good. You're good.
I'm going to get more into the AI in a bit because there's a lot of interesting AI stuff in this.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, I mean, I do enjoy when they kind of bring that up,
especially when you're looking at the history of AI in science fiction.
Yeah, because it is it's a glimpse into what science fiction writers been writing for 100 years, and we're slowly. Scary even nowadays, getting closer and closer to that. It's nowhere near what they're describing in Batman.
Right.
Nowhere near. But it's fascinating. They jump onto that. There's even a later episode where Batman is cloned and he's a robot duplicate, and the robot thinks he's really Batman, and so it's that struggle of is he? It'd be does he really think this, or is this programming, or has he become sentient? Does he have a free will? Is he a free agent? And ultimately he doesn't. But it's that real interesting fascination with AI, and can AI really become, or what was that Robin Williams movie they did a couple of years?
Bicentennial Man.
Bicentennial Man. I think it was.
It was actually based on an Isaac Asimov book, which. Isaac Asimov wrote a lot about robots.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. But it's
which I'm going to talk more about here in a second.
Yeah, it brings up a lot of really good points about artificial intelligence and should we fear it because they can wreak havoc, and be even the fact that this creation thinks that humanity is no longer needed and is going to destroy humanity. And, that's a frightening thing to think of.
Yeah.
So it's a fascinating episode. It's where Batman is outwitted by a computer that's supposedly based in the 50s or 30s, or the golden age, I guess you call it.
This is a weird one because it's while there is a bit of 50 sci-fi linked in here, there's a lot of 80s and 90s sci-fi kind of rolled into this also. So the idea that robots are going to rise up and kill all humans is kind of the entire. If I remember, I've not actually read the Sheck play that coined the word robots.
Yeah,
but generally it's always used for a generic slave type of person. That's why robot is actually Sheck's for slave.
Yeah.
Which then you stop and think of Robotnik from Sonic the Hedgehog.
Oh, yeah.
He doesn't slave animals.
Yeah, he does.
But yeah. But what I was getting at is, in most cases, you are when you see the robots getting up to kill all humans, it's supposed to harken back to the idea of a slave population rising in revolt against their masters.
Spartacus.
Yeah, very much that. And granted, we see that a lot of times in stories and literature of slaves doing that, and generally we're in favor of the revolt because that's generally where the heroes are. Because the people the reason they're in revolt is because their masters have been abusing them and all that stuff. And the thing is, well, and a lot of times with robot stories in science fiction, you do see a very similar thing with robots. Think about in Star Wars. How many times has C-3PO's memory been wiped?
Oh, a dozen.
A ton of times. And they do that without his permission. How is that not abuse?
True. They do that in Star Trek a lot with Data.
Data's actually never fully had a memory wipe.
Yeah, it's true, but it was more like they kind of question, be like,
there's been that question of, is he sentient?
Is he sentient? Is he real?
What actually does sentience mean?
Yeah.
Does the question in that episode you're referring to is, does Data have a soul?
Yeah.
Which is asking, is Data human? Which a lot of times, especially when I'm thinking of like the enslavement of the African Americans during the early days of the United States.
Yeah.
It's the idea that this group of others are not even human by what their masters think of them. And that, obviously, I think we both agree, and
which is
a lot of people
wrong.
listening, it's wrong.
Yeah,
Obviously, they have a soul. One of the things where this changes is in Isaac Asimov's books, where he includes the 3 laws of robotics that are supposedly built into, at a very base level, into every robot, to the point where you can't build a robot without it, because so much of the programming and design of robots is based on those 3 being there, and to try to create something without that you'd pretty much have to start over from scratch.
I gotcha.
And those 3 laws, just so we're all on the same page, is a robot cannot harm another human being, or through inaction allow a human being to come to harm.
Yeah.
Second is a robot must comply with the tasks given to it unless that interferes with the first rule. And then the third one is that a robot must make sure it doesn't damage itself or cause harm to itself, unless this would interfere with Rule 2 and Rule 1.
Yeah.
And you see
I think iRobot with a Will Smith.
Well, that's inspired. That movie is inspired by the book of that name.
Yeah, of course.
The book's entirely different than the movie. But both in that movie and in the book, though, one of the ideas that comes about is the idea of a overarching supercomputer, much like Hardak.
Yeah.
That while it has those 3 laws built into it, also it comes to the decision that in order to fulfill what it sees as its base level programming, it has to pretty much take over the Earth. It's just in iRobot, spoiler alert, it's all done in the background, and most of humanity doesn't even realize it's happening. In this, he is literally replacing all humans with robots, because to its poor level of programming, because I don't think Rossum really programmed this thing very well.
No.
It thinks that somehow that's having a robot duplicate of that person is the same thing as it being that person.
Yeah.
Which it's not. Even this shows that it's not. So, I as you can tell, I've read a lot of science fiction books on this nature. But I can tell you, this was probably the first story I was exposed to where you had the quote unquote evil robot trying to take over the world. I say that because I've watched Star Trek. Next Generation had Data. I probably had already met Data's evil twin Lore, but that was only a couple episodes he would have been in. This is probably the first one. When I started this episode, and we come up to the title card, it says Heart of Steel, and you see the Hardak computer back there, I immediately go, oh, I kind of remember this.
Oh, yeah.
Keyword kinda. Because I remember this machine and that it was taken over. I didn't remember much of anything else because I don't think Hardak has come back in outside of this show.
I don't think so.
I know there is a computer later on that that Batman will develop called Brother Eye that will pretty much do the same thing. Except it's not taking over the world in that way. It's not making robot duplicates. But either way, this is probably what inspired me to get into that side of science fiction. Granted, I got into that much later when I first read I, Robot after seeing the movie I, Robot. But I really enjoyed the fact that this was a throwback to classic science fiction, but with a Batman twist. And then you got the fact that Barbara Gordon walks in, and I'm going, whoa, this is the introduction of Barbara Gordon in the show? Is she going to be Batgirl by the end of this? She's not. But I'm watching it going, this is probably what y'all would have preferred to have done with Robin, isn't it? Actually give a full introduction of the character in the show and then let them actually become their full counterpart in a later episode. Yeah. Because I got to thinking, of all the other major characters who have had introductions in the show that have been repeat characters.
Exactly.
Batman didn't get a origin story episode. He's gotten 5 episodes that touched on his origin, but you don't get the full from beginning to end, here's what happened.
Yeah.
You do get some of that with Two-Face, because he's introduced as Harvey Dent early in the show, and actually is in like 2 episodes before you get to the episode Two-Face. Poison Ivy didn't get an origin story. We don't even know anything really about this Poison Ivy in this universe besides she's addicted to plants.
Yeah.
That's all we really know about her.
She's an extreme environmentalist.
Catwoman, ironically, kind of gets a little bit more.
Yeah.
But, and the only other person I can think of actually gets a full origin story, even though it's told in flashback villain-wise, is going to be Mr. Freeze.
Yeah, that's true. Because you get Heart of Ice.
And then you get Robin, who was in a bunch of episodes there for a while.
Yeah, then we finally get Robin's Reckoning.
Get Robin's Reckoning, which actually
is a fantastic episode.
It's a fantastic episode. Episodes, yes. And then, while we reviewed it last week, technically it would be the next episode after this. We get Riddler's origin. And
which I love.
Now we're doing... we've done Barbara Gordon's, which is going to be Batgirl. And I get to thinking, y'all probably wanted to do this with like all the other characters you couldn't do this with, but it didn't make sense in those episodes at the time because you were making what was basically a spinoff of, or a tie-in show to the 2 Tim Burton films. And then and you had a story editor who was more concerned with telling fables and the more you know type stories, and instead of telling good stories. And now it finally feels like they've, at this point in the writing, they've gotten full control of the show and they're doing what they want, but they are stuck with the fact that they couldn't do this before. Maybe I'm reading too much into it. I don't know, but I like the fact that Batgirl, she's not my favorite hero character in Batman's group, but I appreciate that they're giving her this, or actually going through the whole origin. I'm sitting there going, is she going to don the cape by the end of this episode? And I was like, it's not going to make sense now if she does it. And I was expecting, maybe Batman will acknowledge it, and the last shot of the episode will be Batman, Robin, and Batgirl swinging through the city on their things, and that's not what happens either. But I enjoyed the connection to the slow introduction of this character, to where if you don't know who Barbara Gordon is, you don't know what's going to happen, despite the fact she does say at the end, I actually kind of enjoyed all this.
Yeah.
It's like, don't say that. You're going to get roped in. And one day you'll have a date with the Joker you will not like.
Yeah, no.
Not in this show, thankfully. No. But anyway, that's my thoughts on it. What are yours? Do you have any more?
No, because this is just a very iconic episode. It makes you think a little bit, but also at the same time, it's a good. Oh my gosh, everybody's getting duplicated into robots, and it's just like it's so good. And you introduce Barbara, and she kind of dons a pre-Batgirl suit. And I actually drew a picture of this. I put it on my Facebook. If you guys watched it, looked at it, be like, thank you, appreciate it. But yeah, this was a good episode. I was in the same boat with Drew, and I was like, okay, is she gonna don the cape and cowl in this one? It's like, nope. A few episodes later, but oh my, I love this. These episodes are so good, and and then you get like the Riddler, the Minotaur, the next episode, which is really good.
And then after that, we'll have with Muppet Treasure Island, we will have Joker's Wild, where the Joker gets revenge on people using his intellectual property. That's what it is.
Yeah.
And we will get Tiger, the cat people episode.
Oh yeah, because then Catwoman gets turned into a cat.
Yes.
I remember this.
I remember watching this episode. I remember this episode coming on all the time in reruns when I was a kid. And every time I'd see it start, it's like, okay, I'm going to go watch something else. Because I got tired of this episode so many times as a kid. And I barely even remember what happens in this episode other than Catwoman gets turned into a cat. We'll be doing our best not to make certain jokes next week. On that episode.
Gosh. Yeah.
Especially with our guests.
Yes.
So join us next week for that, or in 2 weeks for that. In the meantime, this has been Drew.
This is Jacob.
And we'll catch you in the next frame.
To follow Jacob and Drew's individual internet exploits, check out the Linktree links in the show notes. You can email us at thecellcastpodcast@gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter or X @cast_cell. Follow our Facebook page, The Cellcast Podcast, and join our Facebook group, The Cell Nation, our YouTube channel, Cellcast, and our Rumble channel, The Cellcast Gaming. You can join us every Friday night at 7 p.m. Central for our live recordings of our episodes on Twitch, Facebook, YouTube, and Rumble. You can also join Drew on those same streaming channels on Tuesday nights at 8 p.m. Central for gaming streams. You can listen to our podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or anywhere else fine podcasts can be downloaded from. Please rate and review us where you found us. Our theme song is Drop and Roll by Silent Partner. Our bad movie theme is It's Party Time by Gregory Snegoff, with additional audio from the film Titanic: The Legend Goes On, and remember, that's Cell with a single L.
Bye, Felicia!
Again. I didn't sign up for this!